Welcome to the journey to the clouds, but not just any cloud. I'm talking about the cloud that's changing how the world is working today. From ground up, in old days, everything we needed to run our businesses, apps, and data had to be at one place. One site, heavy and expensive. But here is the big question. Why should everything be trapped in one place when the world is getting faster and connected? That's where the cloud comes in. So why cloud? Simply, the cloud gives you access to the powerful resources anytime, anywhere. Now imagine running your entire business or app from anywhere in the world without all the hardware and headaches. Now, how does this work? How do you do it? Instead of owning and maintaining all the bulky equipment, you tap into the giant data centers around the world. These data centers do the heavy lifting so that you can focus on what you do the best. It's like renting a supercomputer whenever you need it instead of buying one. And what does the cloud offer? Flexibility. It's letting the businesses grow without limits, saves money by not only paying for what you use and give you the freedom to create, store, and innovate at scale. So why cloud? Because it's the future. How? By freeing from the old bulky system, what does it offer? The power to do more without limits. Buckle up, because this is a series where we'll dive deep and we'll be flying high into the world of cloud technology. For this video, we won't use any slides and just whiteboarding to keep things very simple and interesting. So I hope you enjoy this. Let's dive in. Let's start looking into cloud in general. Now, before we get into cloud, I want to look at this from a perspective of the three buckets, which are why, how, and what. Now, we all know what cloud is. We don't know how to do it still. But why do we need to do cloud? That is actually the most important circle. Now, this is a concept that was introduced by Simon Sinek in his Start with the Why. There is an interesting TED talk on it. Highly recommended. You could do that if you have time. So this is what he tries to explain. So he pretty much makes like three circles. And he says, why you do a certain thing is in the middle of everything. How you do it is in the middle. What? So what is cloud? How is cloud deployed? Why should I deploy cloud? Most of the times we start from the outside and then we start getting in. But his recommendation is that if you want to go good with something, start with inside and go outways. This is exactly what we're going to try and do in this video. And again, I'm not going to use any slides here. All I'm going to use is going to be just whiteboard here. So let's get going. So before we start, let's say we have this person and he is very confused. And the reason he's confused is he has no clue on what cloud is going to be like. He's pretty much scratching his head at this point. And he has a big question mark. And he's thinking, what is cloud that everybody's talking about, and how am I going to adopt this daunting cloud that everybody talks about? So let's start with the idea that Simon gave us with the why here. Why? Why do I need cloud? Let's try to answer that question first. Few reasons I would say. One of the reasons is I need to refresh my stuff. All the time my hardware is getting old. I might need new software. That's another reason. I might need to add new services. I might need new things. Like I might need a new server. I might need a new operating system. I might need a new software. And I also need my solutions to be scalable here. Sometimes I have more demand on a certain app, so it needs more resources. And then there are other times when it's not needing that much of a demand, right? So let's look at this. So this is refresh. Okay. I need to be scalable. And I need new hardware. I might need new software. Okay. And who is responsible for doing all this? It's going to be your IT guy in most cases, because businesses just come to IT and say, okay, I need this done, right? So what is the IT guy really doing here is this person is really at any given time just running. I'm gonna try and make a person who's running here. Right, that's our IT guy. But what really is he chasing here? Because the innovation we all know is changing fast. You have virtualization that showed up, and then now you have automation that showed up, and now we're in an era we're talking about things like AI, machine learning, and all that good stuff. And here is my plane, which is the innovation, correct? So if you look through it again, this is the IT guy, and he is innovation. When we look at the options now, what options does he really have? And he has to get all these things done. Let's say a new app is going to be launched. A couple of options here when you look through it. If you look at the road, it's going in two different directions at this point. Okay. One is telling you that, okay, you can use an on-prem option, which most people are already using. This was before the time of cloud became big. And this is more like a CapEx model, which really means is you need to spend the money in advance in order to get these technologies. And then you have a cloud option, which is more of an OpEx model, pay as you use kind of thing. Correct? If you look a little more deeper into this now, let's kind of try and make some space here for us and look down that options lane. What is really OpEx or CapEx if you don't understand? See, most of all, the easiest example I'd like to give is I have two options. Either I buy my own car. Okay. What are the things that I need to use or do if I buy my own car? First of all, I'm responsible for any wear and tear. That's my wrench, by the way. You gotta pay for your parking or make sure you have parking to park your car somewhere. Then there are some dollars involved for insurance or down payment. Now, other option, if you think through this from a cloud option, would be let's Uber it, right? Now, if you compare these two, these are very different models from how they're gonna work. We have to pay for the maintenance, right? If you have your own car, you gotta worry about parking. So when you're not using the car, where am I gonna park it? There is a down payment in some cases. Or let's say if you did not have to pay any down payment, zero down, but you still gotta pay your insurance. So there is still a cost to it. Uber gives me options. What options am I talking about here? Do I need a 4-seater? Do I need a 6-seater? Do I need an XL? Do I need a black luxury? Gives me all that good options. Best thing is pay as you go. You book a ride, you pay for that ride, you're done. You don't have to worry about all of these things here. That's your cloud option. The next question you want to answer here is, if you go to the drawing board from a business perspective, I have to understand that, let's say if this is my chart that I have, and I have to figure out that why do I need cloud? Why need cloud? This kind of moves us to the second question that we're trying to answer here. It's going to be how? How do I do this? First thing you want to do in this case is run some sort of report or some sort of assessment that if you are able to do it, you can do it, or you can have somebody do it for you, which is probably a cloud assessment in this case. call it a report. Now take that report, all the different information that you got from that little report that you created, and you put it into the funnel of your business and try to figure out that what comes out of that, right? Now, what will be these things that I need? So what kind of stuff that I really need from a perspective of a business in order to understand all this? I need to understand what are my requirements. So I need to have an SLA. I need to do some sort of gap analysis. I need to have a performance baseline that I need in order to understand that how does cloud really work, right? So performance baseline, or rather, how does an app work? What kind of performance am I looking for the app? What is my current utilization? How many servers do I have? How many apps do I have? What kind of hardware, software do they need? And then you want to decide on your purchasing model. Am I going to be using CapEx model, OpEx model, licensing, how much? And then you look for some sort of PS or professional services, some sort of management services if I need one. And then you have different vendors. So I want to try and evaluate my cloud vendors, majorly being AWS, Azure, or Google at this point. Now, if you think of this, I almost want to say this is going to be your road to get to that cloud. This is yet that road that you want to say. And the last thing on this road, once you decide on the vendor you want to do it, is a POC, proof of concept, to see if this even works for you, or is this even something that you want at this point. Once you're done all this, so we have the answer. Why do we need cloud? How can we get to cloud? Again, I'm touching on very high level stuff. In the future videos, we can go into much more details and deeper conversations on all of these why, how, and what's. Once we've done all this, let's start looking at what does cloud even offer at this point. So simply think of this as, let's say we have a rental office space. What does cloud offer? So this is my building, by the way. And now if I want to zoom into that building, right? This is my magnifying glass, by the way. I zoom in to see what's inside. Then I get into this building here, which has multiple floors, let's say. Okay. Now there are different floors. First floor, if you look at it, I'm gonna say it's an empty floor. Nothing on it. This is exactly what infrastructure as a service means, which means I will give you a piece of hardware. You go ahead and do whatever you need with that hardware. Second option is my platform as a service, where I'm going to give you something where you can use development on. Now, think of this as I'm going to give you some furniture when you move into this office building. So you could have chairs, you could have tables, you could have a nice light lamp here. And then what about software as a service that we keep hearing about? Exactly same scenario where you have furniture, but let me take it even more further, that I'm going to also give you coffee here and something to eat. So you come, you consume, and you go with it. So I will charge you based on how much coffee you drink and how much food you eat. But you have everything. You don't have to do really everything. Everything is ready in this case. The simple example here would be Office 365. That is the most common example these days. So empty floor, something with furniture, and then you have furniture, and you can say tea is provided. So is food maybe. Okay. Now these are the most common ones. This does not mean that's the only one. If you look through it, from a cloud perspective, okay, it's almost like you have way more options than most people think that, okay, I can only have IAS, PAS, and SAS. No, it's not true. You can actually, I'm gonna draw here a little treasure chest, you may call it. Some gold coins falling out as well. This is your advanced services, where you have this little chest that has so many more advanced services. So let's call it many more advanced services, where you have function as a service, container as a service. We'll talk about all these in future videos, but I just wanted to give you an introduction that it's not limited to just infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. Now, simply at this point, if you've done all this and you've picked one of these models, guess what? This is your business, your people who are in the balloon, and this balloon is in the cloud. So at this point, I can say that your business is on cloud. How did it all started? Let's quickly review it. We started by saying that we have a cloud, correct? Which this person who's trying to get on has no clue how to get on that cloud. So this is my cloud here. Let's bring it all together now. Okay. I have an IT guy who's chasing this innovation. Never gonna be easy, right? It's never gonna be easy. But once you figure out that, okay, what are my options to chase innovation? You have the CapEx model, which is your own car, comes with some pluses and minuses. It's available to me all the time. I don't have to wait for a driver to come at all time, but then there's a cost to it. I need to figure out parking and then this maintenance. Uber might have to wait sometimes, but then I have options. I can get a shared ride. I can get a ride that has 3 people, 4 people. I can get an extra large to fit in 6 people. I can also get a comfort urn. They call it a black, I think. Once you've done all that, then you want to say, okay, I've answered the why. Now, how about the how now? How should I do it? Well, first of all, you need to answer the $1 million question. Why you need cloud? That's the case where you need to go and do a cloud assessment report, where you try to understand what is your SLA today? What are the gaps that you're trying to fill? Is there any performance baseline that you have? What performance are you expecting from your hardware software? What's your current utilization of your hardware software? Then deciding on the purchasing model. I might not have the right people to do this work for me. Should I go to a company that can provide me professional services to get this done? I'm not going to manage this. I already have other things on my head. How about looking for an MSP, a managed provider? Evaluate different vendors. Do you want to go AWS? Do you want to go Azure? Do you want to go Google? Or maybe use a little bit of all? Once you've decided that, I want to run a POC to see if it works and fits in. So this is your road to the cloud. Next thing you want to look into is what does cloud provide? Now, these are the terms that most of you have heard. If not, if you have a rental building, think of a rental building where you can have different options. If I zoom into this building, let's say there are different floors. Infrastructure as a service is imagined as an empty floor. Okay, an empty floor where you move in, you put your furniture the way you like it. So again, you just get hardware, you install your operating system, you install everything on it, and you get it up and running. So just renting that space. Then you can have a platform of service. It's getting little more than just an empty floor. It's giving you furniture, so you can go and sit on a chair. Think of that as your Airbnb, right? Where you have furniture options. Then you have a software as a service, where in this case, they're also providing you coffee and food and everything. So I don't have to worry about cooking my own food. I'm there, I can just consume food and I'll be charged on the amount of food I eat or the amount of coffee I drink. That's your software as a service model. These are the top 3 buckets, but does not mean that's the only thing. We also have some other services like advanced services, which are container as a service, function as a service. We'll talk about that more in future. Okay. Now, once we've done all that, we answered, why do I need cloud? How to get to cloud? What does cloud provide me? Once you've done through all that, you've done your POC, everything looks good. That is when your business gets onto the cloud. Until next time, where we start to dig into a little bit more things and take this conversation forward. Bye for now.